keynote speaker, Richard Munang, Dr. Richard Munang, African Regional Climate Change Coordinator for UNEP. Now, if any of you are on social media, and if any of you follow any conversation on climate change, you cannot miss Dr. Munang, because he is a passionate climate advocate for Africa, for climate change, and it's fundamental, because we have to keep on reiterating it. Repetition is not redundancy in this case. There are many who still don't hear anything, want to understand anything, or participate in the solution. So I really commend my brother here, because he has been standing in the gap, making sure that, in the end, you have to listen. And so we're very honored to have you here today as our keynote speaker, and the floor is over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sheila, and thanks, Meseret, thanks, Juliet, Dr. Pacifica, all protocol observed, distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Happy International Women's Day. It's a great honor for me to speak to you today, and it is an honor because when Meseret asked me to come and give this keynote speech, I had to ask myself, what exactly has she seen that I should be the right person to do so? But I was comforted. Words cannot describe her. She's a mother, a daughter, a sister, yet she is considered weak and fragile. But the truth is, she is unbreakable, and she is the epitome of resilience and gentility. That is a woman. So as we celebrate today, we don't need to look far to know that if you educate a man, you educate one individual. If you educate a woman, you educate a family. This African proverb aptly reflects the important role that women have played and continue to play in global development. And the importance of investing in them cannot be overemphasized. This reality is not just in the words of this proverb, but is also evident by tangible achievements of women in the real world. From the motor vehicle windscreen wiper to the caller ID and caller waiting functions that we use in our phones today, to energy-specific inventions like batteries used to power the International Space Station, or catalysts used in developing cleaner bath wells, women have pioneered many critical inventions in today's world. These achievements remind us that the saying that what a man can do, a woman can do better is indeed spot on. They are a reminder that girls and women have a mind to be free and independent thinkers and pioneers of critical life solutions. Distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, our congregating here today is happening under the clouds of the COVID-19 global emergency, as speakers have already alluded to, but Africa, like the rest of the globe that we already know, has been grounded by this extraordinary challenge, which beyond being a health crisis has moved forward into an economic emergency. As we speak today, Africa, a region that is 20 times less productive than competitors in the global space, is said to lose up to about 5.1% of GDP. Africa, a region that needs to create no less than 12 million jobs for the youth that graduate into the labor market every year, is said to lose up to 50% of all jobs. The continent, as we speak today, 257 million citizens went to bed last night hungry. They will go to bed tonight hungry, and in months and even years to come. These realities have only been compounded by the COVID-19 global emergency. But in no place are these losses more real than in people's pockets. In no place are these losses more real than in dinner tables and kitchen shelves. And most importantly, the pandemic has widened the gender poverty gap, as Julie did indicate. And women have been disproportionately afflicted, primarily because they are overrepresented in many of the industries hardest hit by COVID-19, such as food service. 74% of women in Africa engage in the informal economy. which has been hardest hit. For example, as you see across the entire African continent, some markets across this continent, traders who depend on the daily wage have lost over 50% of their incomes as social distancing guidelines drastically reduce the number of people visiting markets. These losses have been compounded by the increased spoilage of perishables, as more of their daily stock goes unsold at the end of the day. These are realities. These are not abstractions. These are realities that our mothers in villages face, disproportionately inflicting just the pain in them. These stark realities call us to urgently answer one fundamental question, and I call this a sobering question. How can women rescue themselves from such socioeconomic vagaries of COVID-19? What role can climate action solutions of clean energy play to this end? Answering these sobering questions are part of the core of my discussion in the next remaining minutes. And it all starts with a careful consideration of the latest 2020 UNEP emissions gap report. This analytical work proposed a solution pathway called the Green Pandemic Recovery as the optimal approach to drive low risk, to drive climate resilient, inclusive growth for all under the COVID-19 reality. Simply, green pandemic recovery entails increased investment in low carbon approaches that are inclusive, that are applicable, and effective in unlocking income and socioeconomic opportunities while simultaneously abating dangerous emissions. Clean energy remains a critical component of the green pandemic recovery in the African continent. More practically, it is a critical solution to enabling women unlock the benefits of the green pandemic recovery. For example, while sectors where women are overrepresented, such as the food services that I've mentioned, have been hardest hit by COVID-19 restrictions, decentralizing clean energy solutions to enable these over 80% of the informal sector, where the majority of them are women, to enable them ensure that they can preserve and add value to what they produce, will not only ensure preservation of perishables, but also provide a means for value addition and conversion of primary products into more valuable goods that can be earned. This approach will create income and market opportunities for other vulnerable groups, like the youth, where majority of them are disenfranchised and seeking sanctuaries in places not their own, looking for opportunities elsewhere. And we can engage them in developing some of these value addition solutions, leveraging on these clean energy solutions and buffer them from these socioeconomic shocks. This is the core point. Clean energy can orchestrate an inclusive realization of the green pandemic recovery in Africa if it is premised as an enabler of value-added actions in key sectors, including women-dominated sectors like the food sector. And to achieve this, I will leave you with 4 points to ponder, drawing from experience of our climate change work in the region. And the first point is, we need to divest from a silo consideration of clean energy. In Africa, a region that is a negligible emitter, which we all know, and which is disproportionately vulnerable to climate change because of its low socioeconomic base, clean energy cannot be looked at from the traditional lens of mitigating emissions alone. Rather, it needs to be looked at from the lens of relevance, empowering value-added actions in inclusive areas like food systems, which are popular with the informal sector. Africa's transformation will not happen without us putting the informal sector as the engine area in which we must focus on, including women. This can be aptly expressed as a principle we call mitigation, powering adaptation. It is in such clean energy-powered value addition that world opportunities are created, but without piling up aggregate emissions that compound climate change, and by so doing unlock tangible benefits of the green pandemic recovery. I work in the region supporting countries establish structural transition to low emissions development. At the informal sector level provides key lessons. For example, clean energy solutions of solar dryers decentralized to communities have enabled women cassava farmers in cooperatives to dehydrate and preserve their cassava while maintaining its quality for the long run to cut post-harvest losses by over 30%. Drying using direct sun drying across the continent, we see it. takes a longer time. Some takes up to about 14 days when it is sunny. And when it is not sunny, the cassava or fruits or vegetables get spoiled. But with a simple solar dryer, from what we're seeing, it takes about 1 to 2 days to dry. And these women are now able to sell the dried food stuff, whether it is cassava or vegetables, at higher price. And they're earning up to 150%. The scalability of these simple solutions devised by young people, leveraging on their skills and talent, is testament to the fact that we can be able to not only empower women by giving them the tools, but also empowering youth to support women to be more empowered. And decentralizing these clean energy solutions is proving and not only giving us lessons that incomes can be created, but that the 48 billion food losses that happen across the continent can actually be reversed as enterprise opportunities for diverse actors who intervene in the food system and clean energy value chain are created. That takes me to the second point. We must leverage financial innovations. While up to about 90% of Africans in the informal sector operate outside the mainstream banking systems, most are members of communal cooperatives. Every society across the continent have communal cooperatives that are weaved into the community culture. These are mostly small-scale saving groups. In the continent, out of every 100 people, including children and the elderly, at least 7 are members of a cooperative. In some countries, cooperatives are responsible for up to about 45% of the GDP and 31% of national savings and deposits. The big question then is, how can these systems be leveraged to finance accessible, relevant clean energy investments to drive the green pandemic recovery? The answer lies in what we call cooperating around solutions. The clean energy solutions some have mentioned. Through the work we're doing in the region, we've innovated a new model of bridging finance gaps towards assessing climate action solutions called cooperating around solutions. This model has primarily been pioneered through women who are among leading participants in the cooperatives movement across the continent. Take out women and then you take out cooperatives. They have innovated around this, and what these cooperating around solutions is showing is that it is improving not only on the well-known principle of cooperatives that already exists across the continent, but it is helping to ensure that at least women come together to reduce their post-harvest losses and cooperate to create and put more money in more pockets. And by these, not only empowering them, but also providing a venue for young people to be able to create opportunities for themselves in turning environmental challenges into opportunities. This model of cooperating around solutions is providing an antidote. And with this approach, we are seeing women farmers convene around the common interest of accessing solar dryers to power preservation and value addition of their food produce. These women are working with youth of both genders who have been structurally guided to retool their skills to fabricate these solar dryers using locally available material. These examples do exist where it is waste that is converted to briquettes to replace charcoal and reduce indoor pollution. These practical examples are not only helping provide opportunities for youth, but are actually helping address the challenges that many women across the continent are actually facing. This takes me to my third point, which is we cannot be able to address these issues alone. Being selfless and positioning ourselves to see challenges as disguised opportunities must become the center pillar of our engagement, considering that 80% of our food is produced by women in the continent. Increased incomes in agriculture through value addition will result in more money for our women, our mothers, our brothers and sisters. And this is economic empowerment. The biggest empowerment is economic empowerment, and this will enhance gender equality. But actualizing such value addition calls for application of diverse skills and talents in a complementary way. Each and every one of us here today has skills, talents, intellect that we have all been blessed with. We must match these skills, we must match these talents, these intellect and abilities against the value addition challenges and establish gaps either in new skills and build partnerships that we need to solve the challenges and apply ourselves to solve them in a selfless way. Most importantly, we must shun selfishness. and be selfless enough to gather our minds and energies and complement each other in the solutions process, because no one of us working alone can go that far. And that takes me to my last point. The gender debate should advocate unity, not division. A bird cannot fly with one wing. This African proverb reminds us that none of us, regardless of how gifted we are, can succeed alone. We need to collaborate. We need to work together. And if we are to make headways in ensuring clean energy makes the green pandemic recovery a reality for all, that must become our central pillar. The examples I've shared on cooperating around solutions shows that impactful actions that decentralize clean energy to power income opportunities for women, especially in the dominated sectors, is not a competition between genders or age, but rather a complementing of each other. Because we know that a great leader is an ordinary person with an extraordinary wisdom. Women have shown this. Women have espoused this extraordinary wisdom in whatever thing that they do, that they put their hand on. No matter how big a child is, he or she cannot deny that they were once carried on the back of a woman. This is a fact. This African proverb cements the position of women as the foundation of our societies. And there's no greater responsibility on this planet Earth that these women all over the world have executed with diligence. They've executed not only with diligence, but at the same time have charted the way for new innovations. So the green pandemic recovery, driven through the lens of relevant clean energy, women-dominated inclusive sectors call for similar diligence. I have no doubt that if we seek unity over division in this discourse, the full potential of women in orchestrating an inclusive green pandemic recovery will be possible, because where women lead, mountains can even be broken. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my dear Richard. Really, you have really shown your talent, your knowledge, and also your passion on energy, climate change, mitigation, adaptation, and so on.
Thank you very much, our keynote speaker, Dr. Richard, for the great sharing today. We really want to appreciate all that you shared with us, your time and everything. I remember what you said about, you said that gender debates should enhance unity and not division. We need to be collaborative. It is not a competition, it is complementary. That is great. That's just a takeaway that I got from you. And you also say that women are the foundation of the society. You ended with a very powerful quote and said, where women lead, even mountains can even be broken. I think that is really great and very challenging for us today. Thank you very, very much.